It's a typical spring day in Annapolis County as the Bookmobile makes its rounds to the various communities near Middleton. Being the oldest Bookmobile service in the province, the Annapolis Valley Regional Library's mobile branch has enlightened the lives of many rural residents since 1949.
The first Bookmobile was a very tiny, limited little vehicle, sort of like a bread truck, but it managed to carry on service until 1954, when a more built-for-purpose Bookmobile came along.
Today, the Bookmobile is a fully equipped modern vehicle that comes complete with wireless computer technology and access to a wide selection of material. The Bookmobile is like having the public library just down the road.
We get to go to nursing homes and we go to nursery schools, so we can take the service right to these places where it might be difficult for them to come out to the library. And in terms of community service, we can get out to the areas where it's a distance. People might not drive in the winter. They might not be able to coordinate their schedule with the time when libraries might be open. And some, like, we have very busy day out in the Springfield area. Springfield's a long way away from any library without wheels, and so we get to take that service to the far-flung areas and give them the real library experience.
With the loss of many community gathering places, like the local post office, the Bookmobile has become the staple that helps hold the pages of rural life.
We find very much it's the social gathering place, the meeting place. No one's going shh. It is very much a social event in many of the communities that we go to. Everyone's catching up. You know, as those of us who work on the Bookmobile over the years, we know about people's Aunt Mary and their cousin Joe and so forth and so on. Because we sort of get the updates on people we've never really met, but because they've been discussed in front of us for so long, after a while we sort of get included in the conversation. So it's very much a social experience in many of the places that we go. We see many people who say, I really couldn't live here if I didn't get Bookmobile service, because it is to them. I mean, they use words like lifeline and so forth and so on, which sounds like hyperbole, but having been in that position twice in my life, I understand it. It is a lifeline. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's an important part of our lifestyle. It's as I said, every month every trip we go, we make sure that that's marked on the calendar for next month so that we don't miss it. And there's been very few times that, as the lady said in there, that the weather interfered. But they're very faithful, they're punctual, and I suggest anybody go in there and look and see what's available.
Thelma Hawkins appeared in the April 1964 edition of the Atlantic Advocate as part of a feature on the Annapolis County Bookmobile. Mrs. Hawkins, seen here in the center of the photo, has been noted as being the longest-known patron of the Bookmobile.
Another resident down where we lived before asked me if I knew about it. I said no. Well, she said, you want to go in? And, well, that was the beginning of it. We've never quit. It's got to be over 40 years since I got started. And in the beginning, it was not unusual for me to take home 15 to 20 books. And if we didn't finish them and wanted to read them again, they'll renew them. And I would have a carton that I would take with me at that time to fill up with whatever. And now we've dwindled down a bit because we can't handle that many books. But it's been the same wonderful service from the time I started.
Much has changed since the province's first mobile library rolled into service in 1949. What began as a humble pilot project in Annapolis County has paved the way for the numerous other Bookmobiles that now serve most of rural Nova Scotia. From the Bookmobile near Middleton, I'm Jeff Keddy for Eastlink Magazine.